Okay, good morning and welcome back to the Bishy P podcast. Today we're absolutely delighted to say we're joined by Gregor Townsend, the head coach of the Scottish Rugby team. Good morning, Gregor.
Good morning, guys.
And as ever, we're joined by Mr. McHugh and Mr. Johnson, looking very happy there with your grey hoodies on. Obviously, I didn't get the memo.
Yeah, Tommy Hilfiger. And if Tommy Hilfiger want to sponsor us, then get in touch.
They're the new sponsor of this podcast, by the way. You're the only one missing out, Grant.
He's got the big Nike deal, though.
Yeah. So just major thank you for joining this morning, Gregor. If you wouldn't mind just kicking us off by introducing yourself.
I can't believe you've asked that question.
Yeah. I'll just check Wikipedia. No, I'm Gregor Townsend. I'm currently the head coach of the Scotland Rugby team. I've been on my job 3 years, just 3 years and a week. And prior to that, I was head coach of Glasgow Warriors for 5 years. Before that, I was assistant coach for Scotland. And back many years ago, I played for Scotland, played club rugby around the world as well. So, former player, now a coach.
Superb. Just a kind of side question before we look at your school career. How's lockdown been for you? What have you been getting up to?
Yeah, look, it's actually been reasonably enjoyable. I think always look to find the positives in any situation, and for us as a coaching group, we've taken this opportunity to learn from other coaches throughout the world. Everyone that's involved in sport throughout the world has had to be on a pause. So we've had time to do Zoom calls and learn from various sports and other people involved in coaching and different organisations. From a family perspective, it's just been great to spend more time with them. We don't often get to do that when you're a coach.
Yeah,
I've got 2 boys now, teenagers, so they're probably sick of the sight of me around, but it has been a good period seeing them more.
Yeah, right. Superb. And tell us a bit about your school kind of journey. Where did you go to school, and did you stay on till 4th year, 5th year, 6th year?
Yeah, so I was brought up in the Scottish borders, so in a town called in the town called St Peters. I went to Galsfields Academy. Went right through to the end of 6th year. So a lot of really happy memories from that time. Most of them playing sport, but I did get my head down and study and managed to get onto university after school.
Superb. And I suppose this might be a bit of a silly question, but what was your favourite subject at school, and was there kind of any influential role models for you? Maybe a particular teacher or a former pupil?
Yeah, there are probably 2 subjects. I'll leave the obvious one to the end, PE. Yeah. But I really enjoyed history. I got more into that, and that's what I ended up studying at university, history and politics. So I got a love for that at school. But PE was the most enjoyable subject. We did rugby at PE, and we did various other sports, and we were all inspired by a great teacher who became a coach and a friend since left school. His name was Rob Moffat. Just a great man. He'd always have time for you, and time for anybody, regardless of ability. If you wanted to do extra training in the lunchtime break or speak to him about any issue, he'd be there for you. So he certainly got me helped my rugby career a lot. Got me interested in going into teaching. If rugby hadn't become a professional sport, I think that's what I would have tried to do.
Superb. You kind of touched upon the kind of extra training and stuff. Were you involved in any extracurricular clubs at school?
Probably not really. I was quite busy with rugby, especially as I got through school. I remember when I was 15, I played 3 games in a weekend. So I played for the school team in the morning, the Saturday morning. So that was under 18s. Then I played for the youth team in the afternoon, under 18s. And then not every weekend, but every second weekend we had an under 16 game on a Sunday. So that kept me quite busy. I was in the BBEs, Boys Brigades.
Good man.
And rugby training on Tuesday, Thursday nights with clubs. So no time for anything else.
Yeah. Superb. Busy man then.
Yeah, I loved it though. I remember a Sunday evening after those 3 games, I was lying in a bath and feeling sore all over, but then just replaying the games and the fun that we had over the weekend. So happy memories.
Brilliant.
Gregor, could you tell us a wee bit about your journey into rugby? So maybe your kind of early days.
Yeah, well, rugby's the main sport down here in the Borders. So my dad had played, and we Sunday afternoons when you were 5, 6 year old, you got into mini rugby, went to the local park and just started playing. I used to watch my club team gala play. I used to love after the games where they let all the kids onto the pitch and you would play games with your older brother and kids that are about 5 years older, and you learned quickly to pass the ball or sidestep away from these big guys. So that got you that, like, that's all you did at the weekends. There was no distractions with computer games or Xboxes or many TV channels. So it was a big focus point of the community was getting down to the rugby club and getting out there and playing. I did love football as well, and we didn't get much football at school. When I was growing up, it was the years of the teacher strike, so a lot of teachers weren't allowed to help out to do extra work. But I joined a football club up in Edinburgh, Boys Club, so I had a couple of years with them when I was 12, 13-year-old, and then I had to make a decision around choosing one, rugby or football, because football were moving from Sundays to Saturdays. So I chose rugby. I think it was a good option. Not that I think I started as a striker. I remember my first year striker, and then moved on the wing, and then attacking midfielder, and then defensive midfielder by the end. So I don't know if that was
slowly but surely worked your way back then.
Yeah, whether I was getting bigger and they thought I was a good defender, or my attacking skills had disappeared. But I enjoyed that, and I'm a massive believer in multi-sport. Will help you not just enjoy more sports and get the love for different sports, but if you do focus on one sport later on, the ability to have played football, which you have to beat people and pass and move, has really helped my rugby. I did athletics and golf as well. All that hand-eye coordination will help you when you do focus on one sport.
Definitely.
Gregor, see just on the topic of the Borders, right? This is a personal question. My uncle is from a wee town called Innerleithen.
Yes, not well.
And I said to him, we were interviewing you today, and he said, he says, as a bra lad, he will know what you mean. How does he feel about not actually playing for the bra lads other than an amateur status, and the Border Rivieras don't count? I don't know if you know anything about that.
Say it again.
As a bra lad, how does it feel about not actually playing for the bra lads other than amateur status and the Border Rivieras? Then he couldn't.
The Border Reivers, like it. No, the Border Rivieras sounds like this exotic French team.
I wasn't too sure anybody answered his phone this morning.
Yeah, well, look, all the towns and the borders and the villages have a rugby team. Actually, Innerleithen's got a really good football team, Villa Leithen. But there was big rivalries, and then we did have a professional team, the Border Rivieras, the Border Reivers.
Is that a new team?
Yeah, that's when he showing his literacy skills again.
They came together, and unfortunately, they no longer exist. My last ever game of rugby as a professional was for the Border Reivers back in 2007. And because of money and financial issues, there's no longer a professional team in the Borders. But so that was sad that we couldn't have that team. But rugby's still massive down here. So I was at the Boxing Day game, Gala Melrose. So there was about 3,000 at the game that day this year, which was great to see. We've got the Scotland captain just now, Stuart Hogg, who's from the town of Hawick, which is 15,000 people, and one of the breakthrough players of last year, Darcy Graham, was also from Hawick. So still players are coming through from this area, and there's still a real love for the game here.
Excellent. Greg, I see in terms of, you spoke a wee bit about your journey into rugby. So did you go from school straight into professional rugby, or did you have any jobs in between, or did you study in between school and your professional career?
Yeah, well, I believe I was part of the lucky generation that rugby wasn't professional when I first stepped up to senior level. So I got to enjoy 5 years of amateur rugby and just doing something that you loved at the weekend, and having to make money in different ways leading up to that. So I was at university for 4 years, and I'd do summer jobs, plasterers, labourer, gardener. I've still got a bad back from those experiences. But two of my summers, I went out to Australia and played club rugby out there. I had 3 months of a break. I was a groundsman for the first time I went and played for a club in Sydney called Warringah. And the second time, because I was graduating in history and politics, they got me a job as a political researcher. So to work in Sydney, and we stayed in a place called Manly, which is a beautiful place. And we used to get a ferry across into Sydney, going in between the Harbour Bridge and Opera House, going up to work as a political researcher. And I thought, this is great. And then playing rugby at the weekend. But rugby became professional soon after that, I think 95, 96. And look, that's been a great experience too, that you're able to do what you love every day and train full time, and the game's grown, the crowds have got bigger. So no, I was always keeping busy, always trying to fit in work and fit in more rugby experiences during that time when it was amateur.
Yeah. And do you think these jobs that you had, or the studying that you did, do you think that helped you develop skills which have helped you to get the success that you have today?
Yeah, I believe so. I think going to Australia really ignited my passion for learning.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe in my coaching journey, that I'm miles away from the coach I can be. So trying to learn from the best coaches out there, read books during this period of quarantine, speaking to coaches around the world, and always trying to find out what the better way is and how you can improve. So I think Australia opened that up to me, that getting out there and seeing that there's a different way of coaching the game, obviously doing my work as a political researcher, maybe put me off politics, seeing what life was like in a different job. So no, yeah, I certainly think getting out there to have new experiences, not all of them are going to get you to do exactly what you've experienced, but it'll help you form opinions and learn and get better for longer.
Gregor, just on that point about the kind of the coaching experiences you're getting over this time, I read somewhere that you managed to meet Pep Guardiola and Roberto Martinez. Could you tell us what that was like, what that experience was like?
Yeah, well, Roberto Martinez has been excellent. I went out to Brussels and had a day with him. He's a Belgian manager just now, and he's done a fantastic job. But I really found the relevance on his role. He'd moved from club rugby to international coaching. Club football to international coaching. That's what I was doing from rugby. And him and his coaching team, a few weeks ago, we had a Zoom call. Sean Maloney was in the call as well. So some good Scottish links, and they told us a lot about what they found has worked for them. So that was really good. Pep was an interesting one, because I'd gone out to Barcelona a number of years ago when Pep he'd left the year before, and had 2 or 3 days just seeing what Barcelona do at training, their whole culture. It was a great experience. And Pep was at Bayern Munich at the time, and through a mutual contact, actually a Scottish guy that lives in Barcelona, I kept saying to him, I would love to meet Pep. I'm reading his book just now. What a great coach! What an inspiration he is. And he said, I think I'll try my best. I reckon I could get you set up at Bayern Munich. So anyway, it never happened. And I must have got a new phone about 6 months later, and I downloaded this thing called WhatsApp. You might have heard of it. And on WhatsApp on my phone, I had all these messages from my contact in Barcelona saying, yeah, you're ready to go. Pep's keen to get you into Bayern Munich. And I hadn't realised that had all happened. So I thought I've missed that opportunity to go and meet him and see him coach. But a couple of years ago, through another contact, I managed to get down to Manchester City. And look, I only had half an hour chat with them, but I had 2 days seeing what they did, getting a tour around the facility, going to a game, seeing him coaching. But the half-hour chat was inspirational, just to see his passion about coaching. He's probably the best manager in the world. He works with the highest-paid players in the world, but his passion about the process of coaching. He was out there when it was sleet, it was freezing, and they'd been playing this game for 20, 25 minutes, and he was still coming in and helping guys move their body shape a little bit to the right. I'll help them pass the ball and be opened up for an opportunity. So that was great to see the best in the world loving what they do, and the players really responding to that.
Was that something that you've been able to replicate?
Yeah, look, I think every time you go to meet someone, you get something out of it, and it could be something that is stored for the longer term for certain situations. It could be just a real motivational boost that you go, this is why I love coaching.
Yeah.
You can see when you see others loving it, and you go, this takes me back to why I got into this in the first place.
Absolutely.
So it's just building up information that will probably be in the subconscious for when a situation arrives. You go, right, I've heard of, I've seen or experienced this before. Maybe this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Brilliant. Is it over to me now for my question?
Yeah. What you must make it.
Okay, so Gregor, we're going to move on to the professional career. Obviously, you've had a very successful career, both playing and coaching. But what has your career journey been like? Obviously, you touched on it earlier, but I'm a slant.
Yeah, it's been a lot of travelling. So from my playing career, I played for my club team, Magala, an amateur era, and had those 2 experiences in off-season out in Australia and Sydney, which were great. But then when the game went professional, the decision was made in Britain not to pay players for a year. So France and South Africa and New Zealand, when it went professional, started paying players. But we in the UK, we said, we'll pause for a year. So at the same time, I had an opportunity to go to a team in England called Northampton, but it was still amateur. So I got a job in London, and I got an early train into London from Northampton, worked during the day and trained on Tuesday, Thursday evenings and played at the weekend. So that was my first experience of playing club rugby outside of Scotland for a longer period. So I stayed 3 years with Northampton. The game we went professional the following year, and we went full time. And I did my experience of Australia had really got me going, got me thinking. Right, different environments have really helped you improve and play. And I got contacted to, would I be interested in playing in France? And I thought that'd be a real good challenge. Learn a new language, play out of my comfort zone out there. So I ended up playing for a team called Brive, who were European champions the year before. And it was really challenging to begin with, not speaking the language. There was only other one foreigner or non-French player in the squad. He was Argentinian. And then it was tough rugby. But I ended up enjoying it and coming through those challenges. I ended up 5 years in France, and then had a season in South Africa as well. So I think my career was always about getting new challenges, learning from other environments, and it had really been the spark in that experience in Australia that made me do that. My coaching career has been really enjoyable for most of it. I think early on I certainly didn't enjoy the move to coaching. I missed playing. I didn't feel I was very good as a coach. I was assistant coach, not getting to coach that much. But since my move to head coach and being at Glasgow Warriors, I've really enjoyed it. And it's all been in one country. So very different to my playing career, which was all around the world. I've coached in Scotland for the last 10 years now.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer the playing or the coaching?
Well, I definitely preferred the playing when I was playing, but knowing my body now, it's when I think about having to make a few tackles or do the fitness training that players would do. So I enjoy watching them play, but nothing beats playing. Like the satisfaction you get sitting in the change room with your teammates at the end of a game, you can't replicate that in coaching. You, as a coach, you're there to help the players play at their best, and you do share in their joy, but you've not put the physical effort into that experience. So no, playing was great, and maybe playing as well. You know that you're so lucky that you've got this window where your body can play for a period, so you got to make the most of it.
Mm-hmm. Gregor, you're talking about your experience in various different countries. Is there a big difference in terms of how different nations approach rugby, maybe in the preparation or the playing style that you noticed from actually being involved?
Yeah, I think that the biggest difference was between France and French rugby and pretty much every country in the world. They were unique. Just the way we trained. So back when I played late 90s, early 2000s, a lot of our training sessions were really focused around technique and drills. And we would go to when I played for Brive in France, we'd just play games the whole time. And we'd play a full-on 15v15 game on a Wednesday. So in France, you played lots of games during the season. Then you would play in this training game on a Wednesday night. And initially I thought, this isn't real coaching. Anybody can do this. And I realized I was wrong. I realized that playing games and game-based training prepares you best for playing games at the weekend. Now there's got to be technical focus within that. So there's not just a play a game and see what happens. So I think now coaching has merged the two. I'm a real believer in game-based training. So that was a really good experience. The negative experience of French rugby was the violence that you would often get on the field and also in the change rooms before a game. So our coach was partial to a headbutt or two to try and get the players psyched up. So I tried to avoid that, and I certainly don't coach like that now.
Did it work? Did a headbutt, does that get you up for a game, or does it put you down for a game?
It definitely puts you down. Well, in rugby you got forwards and backs, so maybe some of the forwards loved it, but our backs certainly didn't enjoy it.
Yeah. Brilliant. Gregor, obviously I've got a list of things here from 2 caps for the British and Irish Lions, 5 Nations Championships, famous night in Paris in 1995, and a number of highlights. But if you were to select a couple, what would you say your highlights have been of your professional career? Yeah,
look, I think there's a couple. I think when you grow up, you want to play for your country. I remember when I had a paper round when I was 12, 13 year old. I used to be thinking about playing for Scotland. I'd go to watch Scotland games here. So when you win your first cap and playing at BT Murrayfield, as it's known as now, was amazing. To have those experiences.
See you deliver the papers. Did you deliver the papers?
No. Should have. It would have helped my passing. So like playing for your country, nothing beats that. And obviously the best memories you have with playing for countries when you have great teammates, you have enjoyable experiences, and you win. And the 5 Nations in 1999 was brilliant. It was the last 5 Nations tournament. Italy were coming in the following year, and we managed to have a great season. We won a memorable game in Paris. We scored 5 tries in the first half. We'd only won there once in the last 30 years, so it was a real surprise, and just one game when everything clicked. Yeah. And we thought, well, that's brilliant. What a season we've had, and we're going to finish second in the championship, because there was one game remaining, and it was Wales against England the following day, and England had been very good. We just missed a chance to beat them. We lost by a couple of points down at Twickenham, but we thought they'll beat Wales. But it's been great. We finished second. And then we watched that game the next day, a bit hungover, and amazingly Wales won in the last minute, which meant that we were going to be the 5 Nations champions, which no one can take away from us now, because we're now into the 6 Nations. So that was great. And playing for the British and Irish Lions was a unique experience too. That comes around once every 4 years. You don't think there'll ever be anything above playing for your country. But in rugby, we have this team that is above playing for your country. You play for play alongside the Welsh, the English, and the Irish, and you take on the best teams in the world. You take on South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and we were taking on the world champions back in 1997, the South Africans, and we managed to beat them to win the first 2 tests. So that was a great moment. And the longer you get removed from it, and as time goes on, you realise how lucky you were to be involved in a tour like that.
What was that experience like, Greta? Because I can only imagine. I remember when I was younger, and you go to Blackpool for like football tournaments. But you get guys who are coming from all these different teams, but yet they need to.
By the way, I can't believe he's just compared that to football tournament. That is
as I go up Blackpool. Used to go on wee football teams.
Yeah. There's 2 things. And obviously, the first thing is you're getting brand new teammates. There was only 4 Scots in that touring party, so the majority of your teammates you didn't really know, and also you didn't have a great like for them. You just played against them in the 5 Nations. You wanted to kick their head in, and so that the initial stage of that tour was getting to know people, and then quickly be trying to be a really good teammate for them and work as hard as a team as possible. And you have little time to do that. You're straight on a plane, and then you're playing a team that's been waiting 12 years for you. So it's 12 years for these teams, South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, waiting for the Lions tour. And South Africa are big men, so we had to form those bonds really quickly. Mm-hmm. And you keep them for life, like the players and friends that you met on that tour. What's that now? 23 years ago, and you remain friends. The experiences you share in that 6-7 week period last for the rest of your life.
Brilliant. You mentioned like teams like South Africa there and New Zealand. Is there any? This is just a question that interests me. Is there any particular opponents, individuals who you thought, I'm quite scared going into this game that this guy could absolutely nail me here or really hurt me? Any scary opponents?
Yeah, I've got quite a long list.
Every single one of them.
I'll pick one. Mainly there were anybody over about 18 stone that was played for the opposition in France or South Africa. Some big men that used to come up against. But there's one player who was a phenomenal player, and also physically just a very different player, like a huge man but really quick. His name was Jonah Lomu, and he played for the All Blacks. Burst into the scene in 1995 World Cup. Scored 4 tries against England in the World Cup semi-final. No one could tackle him. He ran the 100 and under 11 seconds. He was 6'4". He was 19 stone, pure muscle. And at that stage, he needed 2 people to bring him down. So I got to play against him, I think 5 or 6 times in his career. He's sadly no longer with us. He had kidney problems during his career, so it's amazing to think how well he did play having those challenges. Yeah. But it was okay because he played on the wing and I played at standoff. So normally you don't have to tackle the wingers too often. But there was one game where if you picture a scrum in the middle of the field and I'm on the left-hand side opposite Andrew Mertens, who's a standoff for the New Zealand team. And just as we were settling down to get into the scrum, he swaps with the person on his left, Jonah Lomu. So he's now opposite me. And as that's happening, my person on my right, Craig Joyner, our right winger, said, "Oh, they've swapped. Do you want to swap, Gregor?" So that was a real big decision I had to make there. So call it bravery, I call it stupidity. I said, no, I've got this. So I'm now facing the 6'5" guy who's starting to smile as he's looking at me. And I saw them do this play once before, where basically he was going to get the ball off the scrum half and just run straight at the standoff, which was me, which tended to be the position where you didn't have to tackle much back in that day. So I thought, right, what am I going to do here? So there's only one thing for it, is get offside. and try and stop him before he actually starts running. So I did that quite well. Just when the ball was put in the scrum, I started running, and I was going to get penalised for being offside, but I thought it's worth it. And as I started running, the ball was actually struck quite quickly at the scrum. And as he got the pass from the scrum half, Justin Marshall, I was about a yard away from him. But I'd forgot about plan B, what I do when I get close to him. So I was very upright. I was sprinting here going, yeah, this will work. And he caught the ball in one hand, didn't take a step, but his other hand, this massive handoff came right on my forehead. I went back on my backside, and then he started running. He bumped our fullback, and then 3 people jumped on his back, managed to drag him down about a yard before the try line, and then they scored on the next phase. I'm still on the halfway line lying down going, what's happened to you? Been hit by a car. And so that was embarrassing. You tried to avoid him as well in the haka. Before the New Zealand have a haka you have to face before a game, and you tried to pick the small white guy in the team rather than look at Jonah. But no, that was an embarrassing experience.
Would you say he's probably the best player that you've played with or against?
Yeah, I think so. I think he just transformed the game. He was so good with ball in hand. He physically, speed wise. I don't think anybody that's had the impact on the game like him. And he was a great guy too. We managed to have a couple of occasions we got together. We had the same sponsor, so he's a lovely, lovely man and a superstar in our sport. So in New Zealand, he would have been such a hero. But whenever he left New Zealand, people from other sports looked up to him, and he was great for our game. He took our game to a different level.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
See, obviously, we spoke about a number of highlights there, Gregor, but with highlights come setbacks. Have you experienced any of those in your career, and how did you manage them?
Yeah, lots of setbacks. I think there's lots of challenges that athletes go through, no matter what sport they're in. Just like there's challenges in everyday life where things don't go well for you. You've not played well. You've been dropped. You've got pressures around contract. You've got criticism from media. So these are things that you have to handle and really on why you're doing this, why you love the sport, why you love being around your teammates, and that'll drive you to get better. There's been bigger setbacks too. I remember in 1995, so that World Cup that Jonah Lomu made his breakthrough. I was all set to be playing in my first World Cup. We did a good season for Scotland. We were one game away from winning a Grand Slam that year. And in my last club game for Gala, with about 20 minutes to go of the game, I did my knee, which I didn't think anything of at the time. I thought, it's just be 2 or 3 days, I'll be fine. I'll get that plane to South Africa and I'll enjoy the World Cup. But 2 or 3 days later, the swelling hadn't came down, got a scan, and I was told, no, I've torn my cruciate ligaments, going to be out for a few months, so missing that was a real blow. So injuries tend to be the tough time for players, not the actual injury you get at the time, but the time that you have out and see the team moving on without you, the mundane elements of having to go through the rehab. But it's part and parcel of probably all sports, but especially our sports. There's a lot of injuries in our game.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is a kind of more positive note. But what is the best part about being involved with rugby?
Well, I'm biased, but I believe it's the best team sport out there. You got a lot of players in your team, so it's 15. You have to really work as a team as well. So you're defending and attacking together. We have a lot of fun in rugby, as I'm sure every sport does. But those experiences are the best part of it. You win and lose together. You're in the changing room together. You're enjoying away trips. You're enjoying reminiscing about stories. So the team aspect really makes our sport. There's parts that you love at training, but it's mainly those trips together that you've gone away, and it's just you and the team.
Yeah.
So you get those same feelings as a coach, definitely, but as players, nothing beats that.
Brilliant.
Gregor, you'd mentioned about probably the best player that you played against, but who would you say is the best player that you've played with throughout your career?
Yeah, really good question. I think I've been lucky. I've played with lots of really good players. I think there's one player that stands out as someone you always wanted as a teammate. He might not have had the best technical skills, but he was so tough. His name was Gary Armstrong. He was scrum half for Scotland when they won the Grand Slam in 1990, and he was scrum half in 1999. We won that Five Nations, and he was our captain too. And you just followed him. He didn't say much before a game, but he put his body on the line for the team. He was niggly. He was tough. So he was a great guy to have as a teammate. And the more you reflect on your playing career and now as a coach, those are the players that make teams work. Doesn't have to be the person that has the best technical skills or can do something exceptional 1 minute. It's the person that will do the tough things, that will be the glue in the team, that will put the body in the line, and will do it whether you're up against tough opposition, easy opposition, whether the weather's sunny or it's raining. That's just what they do, and they make you follow them.
Yeah. Brilliant. And then my next question is that rugby's quite well known for having some kind of funny or crazy initiations or pranks that happen maybe within the changing rooms. Do you get any funny stories in terms of that?
Yeah, it's probably less so nowadays with the professional game. Nowadays, the players just have to get up and sing in front of the group, and a lot of them are really good singers, so they don't seem to mind it as much as we used to. We back in the day, the thing that in the amateur day, and it still applies a little bit when we can in professional days, when you won your first cap, you would obviously enjoy the whole experience, and then you get your cap at the dinner after the game. You'd have to wear the cap all night. But the thing you were dreading is the tradition in rugby was that someone from the opposition would come up with you and say congratulations on your first cap, and they'd have a drink for you, and you'd say cheers, and you had to down that drink. You can imagine how many people were keen from the opposition to come up and do that to you over a short period. So my first cap was down at Twickenham in 1993, and I thought I was coping quite well because everybody was just coming up with a glass of red wine, and I thought I'm okay here. I've lasted half an hour. But my teammates decided that this wasn't going quick enough, so they swapped the red wine in my glass for port, and that really knocked me over the edge. So it was an early night on my first cap.
Yeah. I've got a question for you, Gregor, just about the Calcutta Cup. I believe you're part of the squad that won it in 2000. How was that in terms of, was that one of your kind of highlights of your career?
Yeah, it was. I'm glad you mentioned that game because I played in 10 Calcutta Cup games and that was the only one I won. So there was a couple of near misses. There was a couple of big losses. But in 2000, it was a great experience for not brilliant reasons. The game wasn't great. It was rain. It started snowing, and then it was sleet, and we were freezing. We'd lost every game that season. So on the back of winning the championship in '99, we lost every game. But that was the last game of the season against England. We were written off, huge underdogs. But the atmosphere that day at Murrayfield was tremendous. The way the players battled against England, who were going for the Grand Slam, they were undefeated, was amazing to see. So that warmed us up. And interestingly, the year before when we were champions, it was great. The country got huge energy from that, and everyone was talking about it. But the following year, we lost every game, but beat England in the last game. I reckon it was just the same feeling throughout the country. People were going to work for a couple of weeks talking about that game and how we beat England. So we know what it means for people in our country to beat England. And it was great from a coaching experience 2 years ago when we beat them at BT Murrayfield, and what a day that was.
Greg, I see when it comes to those sort of big games, what sort of coaching approach do you take? Do you sort of let on a say it's an occasion against England, are you a more inspirational, motivational person, or do you leave that to the players themselves to manage the occasion?
Yeah, look, I love game day. So the Friday and into Saturday are my two favourite days of the week in terms of what we do coaching. That's when we give the game plan to the players. The players run the session the day before the game. We call it team run. A lot of teams all call it captain's run. And then the day of the game really is about transferring belief that we have in our players over to them. It's taking away any anxiety, trying to be relaxed, saying to them, can't wait to see you play. And on certain days, you might see a little bit of complacency and you just want to make sure that the players are focused. But that doesn't tend to happen much with playing for the national team. The players are usually very pumped up. And when they play England, they know when they arrive at the stadium, the crowd are going to be going crazy. So it's just maybe taking them down a level, saying, let's enjoy this. Let's put what we've done during the week into 80 minutes, and we can't wait to see you play. And then genuinely, I feel that. I love the game day. I can't wait to see how the game's going to unfold. The atmosphere, the games that we coach in are always tremendous, and you feel privileged to be there, so you enjoy it. Straight after game day is not so enjoyable, especially when you've got to face the media and you've maybe not played as well, and all you're thinking from a coaching perspective is, right, how do we do next week? What's the team going to be selected? What do we have to do to improve? But it's a process that you love again, because you know by the end of that week you'll be playing the game.
Mm-hmm. Is that what
I can only imagine what it feels like, but how does it feel as a player and a coach when you hear that national anthem and the stadium's full? It must be incredible.
It's amazing. And I don't know if you guys have been at BT Murrayfield, but the last few years, they've done a brilliant thing with the anthem where the first verse has got the pipes in the background, and then they kill the music. So it's just the 67,000 singing along with you, and it makes the hairs go up in the back of your neck. And I love it, standing in the coaching box watching our players, but I always look over to the opposition and you start to hear them think, oh,
here we go.
Not just 15 here. So it's great. And as a player, it was brilliant. I got you pumped up. There's nothing better than singing your anthem before a game, and you're just hoping that you would have an action early on in the game, whether you got your hands on the ball or got to make a tackle, just to get you into the game as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You mentioned the media there. Do you think that's one of the most challenging aspects as a coach in this sort of day and age, having to manage the media and social media at the same time?
I suppose it is. I think it's part of your job, and like the media can be positive too. Like when you've had a victory, you obviously want them to be talking about it, to get more people inspired to come and watch your games and create a real positivity about the sport and the team. And when things don't go as well, you've got to explain it and say why you think things didn't go as well and what you're going to do to improve it. So it's part of the job. And I don't see it as challenging as telling the player, look, you're not going to be getting contracted next year, or you're not selected this week, even though you've trained really well. Those are the tougher aspects. Or seeing a player who has just got injured in training and is missing a game for his country. Those are much tougher than speaking to the media.
Yeah.
Excellent. Would you have any advice for any kind of aspiring rugby players, or just anybody kind of generally athlete-wise?
Yeah, look, I think anybody that's interested in sport find a sport that you love, and it might not be the first one you do. It might be another sport. It might be an individual sport as well. I've talked a lot about team sports, but individual sports are great too for you to be dedicated and put time into something you love doing. And and not like there's so many sports out there that there will be one that you'll find joy with. Exercise is great for your mental health. So getting out there and doing some exercise makes you feel better. It's proven that you'll get some good chemicals going in your brain. So if you're not feeling great, get yourself out there and do a run, play a game, and you'll get a lot of joy sharing experiences with other people. So I'd say anything around that, if you're just looking to get into sport, for those that are really serious, you've got to do the work to be the best. So learn from those that are the best in your sport. They might be already in your team, or it might be someone that you see on video. Work out what you can do that it can be the best that you can do, but that'll take effort. Nothing is achieved in life and nothing is achieved in sport without the effort that goes into to be better. But you'll get the rewards with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a personal question. In terms of who would you say is the biggest influence in your career? I know you mentioned a man called Rob Moffat. Would you say it was him, or was it anybody else that?
Yeah, probably a combination of him and my dad. So you think of the people throughout your career that cared about you the most, that were there for you to have conversations. Not always you're doing great. My dad gave me a lot of honesty about what I need to do to get better, but he'd always have my interests at getting better. And likewise, Rob Moffat, the teacher and coach, always had my best interests at heart, like he had with a number of players. So there have been coaches and players that I've played with and been coached by that have had a big influence on my career and improving. But those two stand out because they've been a big part of my life and really cared for me.
Magnificent. Grant, Scott, have you got any other questions before I go into the finisher?
No, I think.
So what are you?
Right, so finisher, Gregor. If you could choose any 5 dinner guests, who would they be and why? They can be empty, dead, or alive.
Right. I should have maybe prepped for this, shouldn't I? I'd read all the other questions, but I didn't read that one. Who would they be? I think Kenny Dalglish would be one of them. I'm a big Liverpool fan, and I've met him a couple of times. So great just to chat to and get his share his stories from back in the day. So there's one. This is going to be a slow answer. Is that someone from politics? Seeing as I studied politics, so let's go Obama. Still, both those guys are still alive. We'll have to go someone from rugby. So someone from rugby that would be great chat around the dinner table. Who would that be? Let's go Ryan Wilson. So Ryan Wilson still plays at Glasgow Warriors, and he keeps the energy of the room going. So he'd make it a fun dinner. How many have got? 2 left?
2 more.
We need a bit. Need some female touch in there, don't we? So the boys just don't talk about old football and rugby stories. So who am I going to go for? Can you see how I'm trying to think here? Beyonce would be great. Sing a song as well, and Jay-Z. Let's get Beyonce and Jay-Z and that too.
There we go. Perfect. Excellent.
So many thanks for joining us today, Gregor. Really appreciate it. Very inspirational, your stories. And again, thanks on behalf of the PE department for giving up your time.
No problem. It's a pleasure, and well done for doing this, guys.
Yeah, thanks very much. Honestly, like when we first set out, when I first messaged on Twitter, I didn't think this would have ever happened. So thanks very much.
Yeah, massive thank you, Gregor. Been excellent.
A pleasure. Hope you get back into playing, teaching, coaching soon.
Yeah. Anybody watching this, be sure to get across to our Twitter page at Bishy PE and give us a follow as well. Thank you very much for joining us today, Gregor, again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.